Picture this. It's 1997. Just a year earlier, Weezer had released their massive commercial failure, Pinkerton. The critics and radio stations hated it. But you didn't, because you're a rebel that's constantly drowning in pussy. That's right, you're a Weezer fan, which is still a cool thing to be because it's the 90s and they haven't made the Green album yet. Your friends can't stand you because you won't shut up about how Rivers Cuomo is the next Brian Wilson. But you don't care because Weezer is your favorite band. And as luck would have it, you just found out that Rivers Cuomo is going to be playing a secret little show in your hometown this Friday. And he's going to be debuting his new songs there. You make sure that you're at that show. When the band gets on stage and starts playing, it's not the fuzzy, distorted, emotional alt-rock that you're expecting it to be. Instead, it's country. No, not that kind of country. Think more like Weezer, but with a country twist.
If you want to destroy my pickle.
You know what? F it. Let me just play a bootleg from the show. So the show totally kicks ass and the songs are great, but you can't help but ask yourself, why is Rivers Cuomo making country-inspired music? And why is a member of the band Cake up on stage with him? And why is Adam Orth, the creative director of Xbox that got fired for defending always-on technology, also up on stage with him? Yes, these are the questions that you ask yourself in 1997. But there is an answer to where these country songs came from, and it all goes back to before Weezer even had a first album. See, back in the day, before Rivers wanted Weezer to be the chart-topping pop act that they are today, Rivers wanted the world to see him as a tortured artist. He wanted to be the next Kurt Cobain, which is why early Weezer is all about the pain. You see, Blue, and especially Pinkerton, were jam-packed with songs full of anger, loneliness, misery, and lots of screaming. But, all the while, from as early as 1991, Rivers was also writing songs like this. Whoops, wrong track. Rivers was also writing songs like this.
And so we kiss goodbye. You know I love.
See, a lot of the music that Rivers played during that little show in 1997 was actually written alongside Blue and Pinkerton. And I know, it's shocking to imagine that 90s Rivers Cuomo wrote about things other than that feel when no girlfriend, but that's because Weezer fans have always misunderstood Rivers. We tend to obsess over the emotional agony of Pinkerton because we see it as an expression of the intense loneliness that Rivers felt living at Harvard after his painful leg surgery. But in reality, as he was writing artistic masterpieces like Across the Sea, he was also writing lighthearted songs about going to 7-Eleven and pissing in the sink. Rivers felt that the world would take him more seriously if he avoided silly subject matter like pissing in the sink and instead focused on more serious topics like masturbating to 18-year-old Japanese women. So every time he wrote one of those more lighthearted songs, he stockpiled it. And when Pinkerton failed to be the critical and commercial masterpiece that he thought it would be, he did a 180. Now this is usually where you insert the generic Weezer story about how Rivers lost his self-esteem and blah blah blah, but we're not doing that shit. All you need to know is that after Pinkerton failed, Rivers wanted to go in the opposite direction. And could you blame him? In light of its commercial failure, he wasn't exactly feeling good about his decision to base their second album off of Madame Butterfly.
I didn't burn down the
Weezer.
It was the butterfly, I tell you. The butterfly!
You see, Rivers wanted to test out a new direction, so he started a new band that he called Homie. Its lineup featured various members of other bands like Cake, Soul Coughing, and even his childhood friend Adam Orth. Yeah, the reason that the annoying Xbox guy was on stage with Rivers is because they went to high school together. Now, Rivers knew that these country-inspired songs weren't right for Weezer, which is why he created the new band Homie and tested them on a live audience. The plan was to play a few shows, try the songs out, and if things went well, he'd record an entire album under the Homie name. Now, Rivers described the project as goofy country songs. In fact, he even opened the shows calling Homie his country band. But anyone who's actually listened to these shows will tell you right away, it's not really country. The truth is that maybe 2 or 3 songs have a bit of twang to them, a country tinge, but the rest sound very much like Weezer songs, only with less fuzz, less pain, and more fun. But regardless of what genre it really was, the fan reactions at these shows was overwhelmingly positive. They were praising the new songs on message boards and talking talking about how great they expected album 3 to be, and with that positive reception behind the Homie songs, Rivers decided to actually go forward with recording a full album. So in December of that year, he went to the studio with some other musicians and began to lay down the tracks. But despite having a full album worth of material, the process was never finished. And so sadly, the Homie album is lost to time. The only thing that survived was one track, a song called American Girls.
Darling, I'm afraid to close my eyes when I'm going to bed. Afraid you cracked the phone down over my head. Why are all American girls so rough? Damn, the girl can't ever hurt you enough.
Now, I'm a 17th degree high-level Weezer expert, which means that my Weezer opinions are very good. And I say that even though this song was recorded for the soundtrack of a terrible movie called Meet the Deedles, it still kicks ass. Yeah, it's a very simple song. It literally just repeats the same 3 chords over and over again, but that's also what makes it so great. Because as it progresses, new elements get added to the arrangement, and with each element, the song builds back into its anthemic chorus.
Damn, the girl can't ever hurt you enough.
I've always really loved the way that this was executed. I even tried to emulate it in one of my demos called Can't Stop Thinking About It. But even though American Girls is the only Homie song that we have the full studio treatment for, the rest of the album does still exist in the form of live bootlegs, rehearsal demos, and even home recordings from Rivers himself. Now, you and I both know that you're interested in hearing the other Homie songs. We're like 6 pages into my video script right now. If you're still watching this, you're Homie curious. You're exploring a potential relationship right now. And as your guide today, I'd like to recommend that you start by listening to the bootlegs. Sure, the recording quality is kinda ass, but the energy is great. And most importantly, it's the only place where you'll get to hear some of the best songs that Homie has to offer. Now, I won't lie, it kinda sucks that we don't have better quality recordings of these songs. But what can we do? I mean, it's not like it's possible that some hero out there that knows how to restore bootlegs with AI will just fix the Homie recordings, right? There's probably no selfless hero like that that's watching this video right now and would consider dedicating their time to such a cause. You know, truly the definition of a hero. But if you are still looking for that complete album experience, there is another option. 2 users of the once great A6 boards named Lifetaker and Runner Style Zero made a fully produced cover album of the songs that were featured in the Homie shows. It's called Homie Volume 1, and it's pretty sweet. We're not listening to it right now, but trust me, it's good. They get a lot right about the sound of these recordings. The tone of the instruments are right on point, and even the vocals are good, so it's definitely worth giving a listen. But if you do, just know this. Back in '97, Rivers played more than just Homie shows. He was also trying out new Weezer material, which didn't have any of that goofy barnyard stuff. And some of those songs are also on Homie Volume 1. So if you're wondering why the music suddenly sounds like a bad Oasis ripoff, it's because Rivers actually sounded like a bad Oasis ripoff in the recordings. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the album 3 stuff in another video. But as far as the actual Homie goes, it ends with those lost album recordings. I mean, some of the songs have been reworked into other songs, and Sheila Can Do It ended up on Van Weezer, which I'll admit was pretty cool. Van Weezer had some good songs. But it's just not the same, and that's kind of a bummer. Although, the spirit of Homie kinda never really died, right? It just lives deep within Rivers, where it sometimes influences his songwriting. I mean, think about it. Cowboy Rivers, Miss Sweeney, Pig, Softies? Yeah, that's some good shit. Stop. What am I doing? Making pointless tangents just so that I have an excuse to play a clip of Softies? It's time I got down to the real reason I made this video. You wanna know why I chose to talk about Homie as my first Weezer video in over 3 months? Because I'm sick of everybody going on and on about how much they love songs from the Black Hole and how great Ecce Homo is when Homie gets nothing. Homie is one of the Weezer holy grails. It's an entire album that we almost had but is lost forever in time. We don't have a good quality recording of Autumn and Jane? Are you kidding me? That's a serious offense there, buddy. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I need to spread awareness for the cause. It's time people remembered that Homie is right up there with Songs from the Black Hole. Homie is part of Weezer history. Homie is worth looking up on YouTube after you finish watching this video. And it's time more Weezer fans finally join Team Homie. So that's why I chose to talk about it, because the music deserves it. And you might think that I'm just a little too into Weezer, and that even though my video is entertaining, and that it made you really want to check out my other videos, including the ones that are not about Weezer, because you really like my style, and so you're willing to check out a topic that you're not yet familiar with because you know it'll also be entertaining, and that you're even considering joining my Discord server, link in description, you may think that, but I have news for you, buddy. I'm into Weezer just the right amount, and we would love to have you in our Discord server. So there you have it. That's why I made this video. And now that you know, I guess that means that there's only one thing left to do. It's time to listen to Homie.
Hey, my darling, open up the